May I invite on stage as moderator for this session, Sagarika Ghose, consulting editor at the Times of India. Hi. We're matching. She is managing director of Bitopi Advertising, the leading ad agency in Bangladesh. The company is part of the Bitopi Group, engaged in apparel manufacturing, advertising, event management, fisheries and agricultural sectors with a total workforce of over 10,000 people. Please welcome Sara Ali. She is Sri Lanka's top female entrepreneur, fashion icon and philanthropist. She was the first woman to take her company public in 2010. She now devotes her time to her foundation, supporting animal welfare, environmental conservation and social welfare. Please welcome Otara Gunewardene. Our next panelist is an Afghan politician and women's rights activist who has faced life-threatening attacks from the Taliban and others who believe women have no role in public life. She is a senior politician and was appointed as head of the International Human Rights Committee in Geneva this year. I'm delighted to invite onto stage Fawzia Koofi.
So those of us who think that India is the leader of South Asia and that India occupies a preeminent place in South Asia, you just have to listen to these formidable women to realize that, hello India, you have a lot to learn, and it's really Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan that can teach India a lesson or two in formidable women, brave women and fighting women. Otara, Gunewardene, Fawzia, Koofi, Sara Ali, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. So how many have been to Sri Lanka and gone to the department store known as Odell? Everybody's been to Odell? She's Odell. No family background in business, no help from the family, a lone woman with a degree in biology who started her business from the back of her old station wagon. Yes. What drove you? Ambition? Pure luck? Persistence?
Well, actually, it was what drove me was animals and the environment. I actually started the business to raise funds to help elephants and to help other animals. That's why I started it. So my degree is in biology because my whole dream was to live in the jungles and look after wildlife and animals. But yeah.
So you started this business from the back of a station wagon. You took it public. I don't think this has been achieved by any woman in India. A single woman without a background in family taking her business public, and then you only did it because you wanted to save the elephants.
Yes, that was why.
Sarah, you of course have a family background in business.
Yes.
And your parents are very, very successful business people. Did you feel that when you started Bitopi Advertising, you had something to prove? You wanted to prove yourself?
Yes, I mean, I had a lot to prove because, well, I didn't start Bitopi. Bitopi was started by my father in 1968, and it's one of the oldest and the largest. So I had to fit in really big shoes, and I rose from the bottom. Actually, I didn't start off as a managing director. I started off learning in the business, and then finally, after 8 years, I became the managing director at Bitopi.
And you've taken Bitopi to a preeminent position in Bangladesh.
Yes, and we've expanded the business into many, many other things like event management, digital, a lot of other, sections.
Right. Fawzia Koofi, when I was reading your bio, my eyes were popping. You are the 19th child of 23 children. And when you were born, your mother didn't want a daughter, and she left you out in the sun to burn. And she then had a change of heart and took you back in again. So you've been a fighter since birth. Has it been a fight ever since you were born?
Well, I guess as a woman, our fight starts when we are born. When you are born as a woman, you have to make double efforts to prove yourself. The first thing that you perhaps as a girl experience is the family's image. The family image towards yourself is when you are born as a girl, your family will regard you as you are the property of somebody else. You will grow up and then get married to somebody. So they never regard you as part of the family. when you grow up and then you get married, then your husband's family will regard you as daughter of somebody else. And then you have to struggle there to make you part of everything. So that is where your struggle starts, when you are born, from the day you are born. And exactly, my struggle is not different from many women who are sitting here and many who are not sitting here but watching us. Right. It's the struggle of equality and the struggle of proving yourself. When I was 5 years old, I remember I was watching the news at one of our neighbors' house, which we usually went on a Friday weekend night to watch Bollywood movies. And I was following the news, and I saw a woman who is standing and giving speech in front of thousands of men, and that was Indira Gandhi. I was 5 or 4 years old, and I could think with myself, like, can women do that? How that is possible if a woman is standing and then the man are listening? Well, the first thing that came to my mind, how can she do it? And the second, how can she convince the man to listen to her? Right. Never I thought that I one day might stand in a stage in India, wow. And then a lot of women, but very few men, still could listen to.
And you were going to run for president of Afghanistan, right? You were planning to run for president of Afghanistan. You know, we may be looking at the future president of Afghanistan here.
Well, I always believe that we have to set our goals ambitious. Right. We have to dream higher, because our parents, your parents, our parents, all of us, mothers, women, generation before us, did something different. Right. And this is because of their efforts that we are sitting here now.
Right.
We have to set rules for the future, right, so that our daughters could, or our children could have a better life. Now, if I have this feeling that the new generation all over the world has this sense of self-satisfaction. As long as they have a job, they have a computer, they have a salary, they're satisfied.
Yes.
Which I think this will actually contribute to a world of inequality if we are satisfied with what we are today. So we have to set goals for the future.
Right.
And that should be ambitious. I know it's very difficult. I know, like, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, India,
Pakistan. Ambitious for future generations, because future generations depend on our ambition to get ahead.
Absolutely.
And Otara, you know, you said something very interesting to me when we were talking, is that women need to liberate themselves from fear. It's fear that keeps women down. It's fear that keeps women back. Tell us a little more about how you overcame fear.
Yes, I mean, I do believe to everyone, fear holds us back from doing a lot of things and from being who we really need to be or want to be. So, you know, for me, I was like this 23-year-old who just wanted to make a difference, and you know, nothing would stop me, and I would just keep going, and I had this great passion to make a difference. First it was the animals, and it became, obviously, then I was a model for a few years, and then I became about fashion and retail, and I just wanted to change the way retail was happening in Sri Lanka, and that was really my ultimate goal. And, you know, like she said, I do believe in goals and dreams and setting them high, and then aiming for that. And you know, I just kept going, and it was like actually like 15 years or so later that then people kept saying, "Oh, you're a woman. How come you did this?" And then it was like, "Oh, really?"
And did you face resistance from men in Sri Lankan society? Did you face daily resistance?
Not really, because for me, I just had this goal, and I just had blinkers on, and I just kept going, and, you know, just trying to achieve the goals. And after the company went public, I also sold the company to a large Malaysian retail company, 49% of it. So I had to go and meet the board, all men, and sell the company to them, which I did. And then, you know, brought in a lot of investment to Sri Lanka.
And now you're doing where your heart really is, which is looking after animals.
Yes, and then I sold the company 3 years ago and went back to my true passion and my calling in life, which I believe is to give a voice to the animals who face such adversity, and to protect our environment. And we've spoken, and we've spoken a lot about some amazing women and very inspirational women, but we haven't spoken about the greatest woman on earth, and the one that we all need to talk about and respect, which is Mother Nature.
Which is?
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature. That's
Without
right.
whom we would
Nature
all
is a
not be
woman.
here.
Absolutely. The words of a former Supreme Court Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, has always been an inspiration to me. She said that, the trick of a successful marriage, a trick of a successful working relationship, trick of successful women is always to be a little deaf. So if you're a little bit deaf, the unkind word, the slight, the contemptuous word brushes off you and you can deal. Is that something that echoes with you, to be a little deaf as you go along?
Absolutely, absolutely. Be a little deaf and maybe sometimes a little blind as well, because you don't want to, a lot of times you don't like the things that you're seeing. So I faced that a lot. I mean, when I started off, one of the problems was not to be people didn't take me seriously. So most of our clients in the advertising business would be men, and you'd go into a board meeting, and then people are not taking you seriously, and they're talking to someone else and not making any eye contact with me. So I mean, you have to be definitely.
And how do you deal with that? How do you sort of establish yourself?
You kind of stand ground and you kind of continue to speak to them till they have to start looking at you, right, and start listening to you and responding.
So persuade, don't confront.
Yes. I don't believe in confrontation. Like, persuade and make a point.
Right.
Make a point.
And Fawzia, is politics the way, should more and more women come into politics? Do you believe that that's the way in Afghanistan particularly? Should women be in politics to bring change, or are there other ways as well? But because you've chosen politics, why have you chosen politics, and should more women come into politics?
I believe more women should come into politics in Afghanistan, but also in India. Right. I mean, you should actually have a quota.
27% women in Afghanistan.
That's right. Yes. We have a quota on which basis 25% of the total parliamentarians should be women, right, which I guess you also do need a quota for your National Assembly.
Yes. But you mentioned that in Parliament, not only do you face threats, not only do you face threats to your life every day, but in Parliament, they switch off the microphones and you can't be heard.
Well, you see, that's why we have to have more women. We kind of set boundaries for ourselves that this is a very difficult profession, so not for women. Security, this is an area which shouldn't women get involved. Economic affairs, this is an area which, women are made for softer jobs. Journalism, I don't know. We shouldn't set the boundaries.
I'm not sure it's a soft job, though.
That's what it's regarded as, like traditional, right, be a doctor, be an engineer, right, and then you are the kind of the set criteria woman.
Yes.
I think we need to have women in the untouchable places. We need, yes, to have women where there is the red line. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the world is still very unequal. We don't have a woman yet, the Secretary General for UN. We don't have a woman, the President of United States.
No.
We have woman Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, hopefully in Afghanistan.
Yes, we have a lot of tokens, but there is that saying about South Asia, female accession to male martyrdom. The male dies, there's a male martyr, and the female accedes to his martyrdom. She takes on his martyrdom. Indira Gandhi, Benazir Bhutto, Sirimavo Bandaranaike. Is it important to have woman tokens? Do they matter? Because I know that Sirimavo Bandaranaike, Chandrika Kumaratunga, these are big, powerful women in Sri Lanka. But have they really made a difference to Sri Lankan society?
Well, in Sri Lanka, 52% is female, so we are the dominant gender in number. It definitely helps, and shows that you can get there. I was able to do what I wanted to do, because I had the possibility to do that, but there's a lot of also lack of opportunity for a lot of women, and I think that's a lot of the reason why they can't move up in the world, and from the poverty that they are in, because their daily struggle is always on how to find the food, how to find the water, how to feed the family. So I think on that side, equal opportunity is much needed for a much larger portion of both women and men, so that they can be who they want to be.
Right, and of course, successful women don't have friends. Successful women make a lot of enemies. How do you deal with all the enemies online? I've seen the kind of trolling you get and the kind of attacks you get. How do you, is your policy confrontation? Is it ignore? How do you deal with it?
You just have to have your belief, and you have to know that what you're doing is, as long as what you're doing is good and for the benefit of many lives, and you just want to change lives for the better and change your country or the world for something that's better and something that's been wrong in the past, which is what I advocate for animal welfare, for protecting the environment and causes like that. So I truly believe it, and I truly believe things in the past have been done wrong. And you need to know, just go by your heart, and like what you're doing is right and what you're doing, and you just have to keep going and just have to believe that what you're doing is what's right. And it's really not my work. It's not about me. It's about the cause. It's about thousands, for me, of animals who are suffering greatly about the environment we're destroying, which we need to survive, which we need for women to have a better life. I have seen in my country how more and more women are struggling so much because of the drought, or because of the sudden floods which were never there, or intense drought, which makes it harder for them to find water for their families, and which makes it even harder for them to move up in the world.
Right.
So you just have to know that is your belief, and in your heart that it's right.
Stick to your beliefs.
And you just have to keep going.
And and like Otara was saying, stick to your beliefs. You're a modern woman in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
There is a bit of rising fundamentalism in Bangladesh. And fundamentalism always expresses itself in women, and restrictions on women, and how women dress, and how women act, and how the fundamentalist is obsessed with the modern woman. How do you deal with that? How do you as a modern woman assert yourself in a situation where there may be all kinds of pressures on you?
So I think there's a rising extremism all across South Asia. I mean, there's pockets in Bangladesh, but it's not prevalent. It's not something that you feel on a daily basis. It's not like you feel unsafe. I mean, it is still true. Like, we have a lot of area to cover as far as safety for women is concerned, but the government is taking some definite steps to reach out to women and to make it safe for women. So I do not face any kind of issues, and you can dress as you want, and you don't have to cover yourself or anything like that. So it is pretty secular. All religions are, they are safe.
Right, but that's not the case in Afghanistan, I know. And you have faced daily threats. I know you wanted to be a doctor, but the Taliban interfered with your medical education, right?
That's right.
They wouldn't allow you to complete your education.
Not only me, but as we all know, the Taliban did not allow women and girls during the time that they were in power to pursue their education, but also to access basic human rights. They were denied with any kinds of right, including access to education, going out, etc. So I think women are the main victim of war and insecurity, and also, you were saying extremism.
Extremism. So where would you stand, for example, on the question of, say, religious identity and freedom of expression? Because that's a big issue in all our countries, right? There are people who argue that my religious identity is threatened if there's a certain person making a film in a certain way or writing a book in a certain way. I know there was that film, Muhammad. Where do you stand on that film? Do you feel that right of freedom of expression is absolute, or that, in fact, religious identity is equally valid?
Well, I think we have to differentiate between two things. One is religion, and then the second is wrong understanding of religion and mixture of tradition with religion. In our case, unfortunately, most of the time, religion has been mixed up with tradition, or tradition has been mixed up with religion, and that is our problem. Our problem in our parts of the world is that they impose the wrong understanding, traditional understanding of their own way on women, on basic freedoms, liberty, under the name of the religion. While our fight in our parts of the world, in my country, for instance, is women Islamic rights. If women are given the exact Islamic rights that is written there, then we have, to the maximum, we have freedom for women. Right. Unfortunately, the Quran and then the Hadiths have always been misinterpreted and misleaded. Sometimes they are being misinterpreted in a way that it doesn't give the right information to the people. When it comes to the freedom of speech, I think Afghanistan is setting role model on that. There are people who are holding it back, the Taliban and you know, some of their supporters. They are holding it back, but I think Afghanistan will move forward.
What about freedom of choice? What if you didn't want to wear a scarf?
If I didn't want to wear a scarf as a politician, it will certainly impact my political career. Right. But as an ordinary citizen, it's your choice to choose what to wear, what not to wear. Certainly,
you feel that there should be a choice?
I think it should be a choice. I think, like many other you know, speakers that discussed today, women should be given the choices, not only in Muslim countries, but also in European countries.
Right.
The fact that I don't see the difference between Taliban, who imposes me to wear burqa, and those who actually don't allow women to wear scarf.
You have to wear jeans and t-shirts.
Scarf in France. I don't see, because you're limiting women by their appearance.
Right.
You shouldn't limit women by their outlook. You should give women to wear, what matters is her ability, her capacity, her knowledge, you know, her way forward, the way she goes, the way she achieves, not the way she appears. Right. So for me, Taliban, extremism is extremism of any kind.
Of any kind. And you know, our time is up, but I'm going to have one last round of questions. How do you deal with the hate? You know, trolling online, I thought I was the veteran of that. I mean, the kind of, you know, I thought trolling, you know, I really get trolled, but you get the kind of online trolling and hate that you get on social media is unbelievable. How do you deal with that?
But I also get a lot of laugh.
You do.
So, well, I think as a woman, if you become stronger, you find more enemies.
Right.
So see it that way. If you have more people that are opposing you, means that you have been impactful, you have been effective in what you do.
Did you ever feel, last round of questions, do you feel like ambassadors of your country? Do you feel that you need to represent Sri Lanka abroad? Of course, in an international fashion market, you did have to represent the Sri Lanka brand abroad. How was that like? How did you feel being the ambassador of Sri Lanka, representing the fashion of Sri Lanka amid a range of international designers?
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, everyone here, I just saw, you know, they've been to Odell and they like it. And so I think...
Everybody loves Odell, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, of course, I don't own it anymore, but, but yeah, I mean, you know, it helps bring change. And not only that, but for me, I mean, I think, you know, I know I've been able to influence a lot of young girls, young women, who want to do a similar thing, and I know they're doing it now, and so many others want to do the same, and I think that's what's really important, is to lead the change.
Do you ever feel that, oh God, I wish I could leave Bangladesh and go away, or do you feel that, no, I want to represent Bangladesh and say, no, Bangladesh is not just about what you hear, it's about a lot of other things. Bangladesh, for example, largest garment exporter after China.
Yes. No, I mean, so sometimes I do. Sometimes if I'm honest, then yes, of course I have those feelings. But no, I don't want to leave Bangladesh, and I want to represent Bangladesh, you know.
And be an ambassador of
Absolutely,
Bangladesh.
absolutely.
And you, I mean, did you ever feel you want to give up on Afghanistan and just go away?
Well, in all of our lives, there are days that you just think that, you know, it doesn't worth it anymore. It's like you work for equality, all of you. You climb the mountain to the top, and then all of a sudden you fall again, and you start climbing again. The important thing is that you have that passion and courage, because I have this experience as a woman. If you fall again and again, that gives you more reason to stand again and again. Right. So as I have fallen again, it gave me more reason to stay back in my country, and one day see Afghanistan, like India, like Bangladesh, like Sri Lanka, like Pakistan, being led by a woman.
Wonderful. I think those are wonderful words to end on. The more times you fall, the more times you have the opportunity to stand up. Otara, Gunewardene, Fawzia, Koofi, Sara Ali, thank you very much indeed for joining us. What a lovely showcase of South Asia and South Asian womanhood. Thank you very much.